VTubing Explained is a channel focused on breaking down VTuber culture, trends, and even drama in a way that is concise, clear, and easy to follow. And that kind of content has really been resonating with a lot of people. So I wanted to sit down with him and talk about how the channel came to be, how Anthony approaches the topics he covers, and what it's like talking about a space that's constantly evolving. Here's my conversation with VTubing Explained. Hello! Today we're interviewing VTubing Explained. V, or Anthony over here, does a bunch of videos. What kind of videos do you do on YouTube?
It's basically just trying to cover various types of VTuber topics. In the past, I would have just done various terminations, various quotes, and all that stuff. However, my focus at the moment is shifted towards VTuber news and more specifically VTuber drama, as all types of fun controversies occur pretty much a little too often. So it'd probably be a nice idea to kind of just be able to compile it all into just a short form content to where I'm just not rambling for like unnecessarily long, just get to the facts necessarily.
Yeah, definitely do believe that that is something also that contributed to your channel's growth, as you don't just stretch out and milk drama, but just very carefully dissect it and explain the different positions and how people reacted to it, sort of objectively. Would you consider yourself a drama YouTuber now because of that? Or do you still intend to do other topics eventually?
I mean, at the moment, yeah, I'm basically just a drama tuber at this point. Like, most of my content now is just covering controversies and whatnot. Hopefully, in the future, I can actually start covering non-drama focused content, focus on like the good side of VTubing rather than all the problematic sides in the future. But just for now, this is kind of like a solid foundation for the channel, but hopefully in the future that will change.
How did you get started on YouTube?
I would say part of it was kind of just seeing my friend succeed in their own YouTube ventures. They were basically like, they're doing like pretty good right now. It took them like quite a long time to get successful, but now they're actually doing pretty well in a different niche. And they were basically giving me advice like as to starting up a potential YouTube channel. And initially I was struggling to come up with an idea because there's so many different things that you could do on YouTube. There's so many different niches, there's so many formats that you could do. It's like creativity is not my strong suit. I'll just put that lightly. So that's like the biggest hurdle for me. But then I was scrolling on Twitter, scrolling on social medias and whatnot, and I just see that there's like so much like random like VTuber drama stuff, so much interesting news and all that, and I could never really bring myself to watch most of those like news coverage channels, mostly because they kind of I'm not calling anybody out in particular, I'm just saying like there are instances where people don't really get to the point as like quickly as they should. I mean, it's fine, it's not a big deal, but as like for myself, as like a brain rotted individual with a short attention span, I just would rather get stuff to the point, like a easy to understand and digestible format. And so I would see like those channels, it's like the Paint Explainer, all that stuff, where they're kind of just like very minimalistic, just describing stuff, and I was like, did somebody do this yet? I feel like I feel like someone should do this. I look it up and all that stuff. It's like no one has infected the VTubing niche with this format. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll be the first person to do it. And so I kind of got started in that regard, and I slowly built it up with the advice of my friend. And then we were just like, yeah, this has good potential. Might as well get into it.
And since your feed was infected by VTuber stuff, were there a lot of like VTubers that you were watching, or are there any ones that you are watching right now that you really like?
Honestly, it's a bit tricky because in my like, I guess you could say like the past life or the PL stuff, I would kind of just hop from one VTuber to the other. I don't necessarily have big like Oshi or Kami Oshi necessarily. Well, in the past. Now I would say it's Alara. But normally I wouldn't focus on anyone like really big or anything. I would just be watching the smaller creators, like watching all the smaller creators with like less than like 5 to 10 viewers. There's like so much untapped potential when you just go through like a certain game, type in VTuber and sort from low to high viewers. There's a lot of like really cool people who just don't necessarily have the exposure that they should be getting. So I just kind of feel like I would be a part of their like community in that regard.
When you did get started, you also did use like a text-to-speech kind of voice initially, and these days you're even showing your face from time to time. What made you move on from like kind of hiding parts of you away in that way?
So yeah, initially I was using like an AI voiceover. I used something called 11 Labs, where I would just essentially make a script, like I type it all up, and then just copy paste it onto 11 Labs, and then just have that be the voiceover. On from there. From like the initial first few videos with those voice, like there were like complaints about the like generic AI voice, which is totally understandable because most of those like explanation channels do use AI voiceovers, so it's not necessarily like a creative way of actually describing the content. So, but honestly, like if it weren't for the fact that my like first few videos like did so well, I probably would have kept going with the AI voice, because the intent was, as I was slowly going to grow, I didn't necessarily want to attach my voice to something that I didn't think was going to be taking off so fast. So I would just use an AI voiceover in the beginning. And then if it gets to a point, yeah, I'll switch over to a real voice. But I didn't expect the first video to like grow like fairly quickly. And I was like, well, shit, I guess maybe I need to start reconsidering. And so I think the first video I switched to my actual voice was one of the videos that talked about like Gunpei, Cinder, all those people. And then like when I made that switch and it's like it just took off, I think part of it was because like, I covered Cinder and I was like, Cinder is Cinder. And then another thing was like, one of the top comments was like, you actually have a real voice, what the hell? It sounds so much better. I was like, you know what? I guess that's a sign, we're gonna switch to the real voice. I guess it's doing pretty well as a result. And then as for like showing myself like physically, part of it was because there was like some legal shenanigans that happened with a particular individual, and they were just like making like weird comments and posts on their channel. It was like, oh, wouldn't want like the courts of Ohio to like know about this stuff. I'm like, they're like trying to like threaten like a dox or something like that. But it's like, I don't necessarily, it's not like I don't care. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. So it was kind of like out of spite, I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna show myself and just talk about this. And I mean, granted that video is like on the low side, so not many people did really see like my physical self, but either way, it's like, I don't care if people know what I look like. It is not a big deal to me at all. So that's why I like, I put those videos up where I show myself on stuff basically.
Yeah, I do think that, especially with like legal trouble and everything, and people threatening to dox you or others, etc., I think there's something cool about like taking the power for yourself and just being like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it myself. Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Yeah.
But you, like, generally speaking, you did see it as like a good change to use your own voice and everything, and I believe it reflects as well like most people in the community, the people who W or you know,
Yeah.
seem to like that. And I personally also like really appreciate like the kind of intonation and the little things you do with your voice that make it unique, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, with a lot of your videos as well, you do a lot of research into it. You read very, very long documents, for instance, that people release and try to like kind of dissect them. What is your process typically for picking out topics, especially with how much drama is happening like all the time, pretty much? Do you have like sort of, yeah, I'm not going to cover this, or I'm going to cover this very much, or stuff like that?
Honestly, it's not like something really well in depth necessarily. I just like a few times a day I just go on like Twitter, I just refresh the page and I just see like I just scroll and then I see like if there's like somebody calling out something, it's like, oh well, you know what? Let's take a look. I'm gonna put a note for this. I'm gonna bookmark it and all that stuff. Just look over it like in a little bit. That's usually like I reserve like Mondays and Tuesdays. Just scroll and just take notes. And then by like Wednesday, I'm like, okay, I gotta think of the topic. I gotta look and see which one seems the most interesting, I guess, to put it lightly. And then I just start immediately like going like very deep into it.
Unless, of course, you're getting interviewed on a Wednesday, which, you know, oops.
No, you're all good. I already, like, I'm in the process of my videos, so it's all good.
Can we get a scoop on what the next video is?
I mean, yeah, sure. It's, this one was interesting, because, like, this drama was, like, this is the first time that somebody on Twitter tagged me to, like, cover. I was, like, randomly going, and I just see, like, a notification. It's like, oh, I got tagged with, like, a bunch of other, like, news like channel like peoples. I was like, I'm tagged here? Since when was I big enough to get tagged for like new drama? I'm like tagged with like Rima, I'm tagged with Alara, I'm tagged with like Muujin. I'm like, why am I here? Like I feel like I don't exactly belong in this like huge group of like big creators. And again, they like tagged like Obama and Beyonce as well, so I guess that's also that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, do you feel like that is sort of a compliment in a way that you're now also in there with the big ones like Obama and Beyonce?
I mean, it's like, it feels, I don't know if it's like, it just feels weird, I guess. It's not weird in a bad way. I'm just like, it's like, I'm like flattered and like honored even. It's like, I'm being up there, I guess. I'm being mentioned along with like these big names. I just like, I still feel like I'm like a tiny, I'm like a tiny content creator. I don't feel like I necessarily deserve to have like this like attention right now, I guess.
Do you have any sort of values or standards for your videos that you like, perhaps even just on this example of this video that you're working on? Are there like any rules that you set for yourself about what this video can and shouldn't do and stuff like that?
Yeah, so big thing for me with this channel is I try to avoid giving any opinions, like personal opinions, without explicitly saying it's a personal opinion, because one of like, I think some of like the main gripes that I've seen people have is that they like, some content creators would give like a really like, they focus too much on their opinion to where they don't necessarily have like a neutral stance on like the drama itself, and they just focus on just like bashing one particular party, which I think like it's not necessarily like a bad thing if you're gonna like talk about opinions and all that stuff, but it's just also like it can be a turnoff for people if you just are giving like too much of an opinion versus like actual coverage of the topic. That's why I try to avoid giving an opinion. I just be like, hey, this is happening, this is what someone else is saying, boom, end of story. So that's like one of the big rules for me. And then another big rule is I try to if I notice that there's like misinformation or like something inaccurate that I've done in my video, I would unlist it and then just make a new one. That
Ah,
happened to me on the Hololive termination video. I made that video, and I think that was during the point where I was like AI focused. I just asked ChatGPT like what are some of like the more notable like Hololive terminations, and then like I kind of referenced that, and then I missed like obviously because AI misses stuff, so I missed like some really important details, and people pointed that out. I was like, oh shit, I actually gotta go back and like make it correct. So I would unlist it, and then like 2 days later, I would just make like a correction video where it's like all updated, and then people were more appreciative of that. So basically, like the main rules are just keep it as like neutral as I can, and just to like make sure that it's actually accurate information.
so do you still like use AI and stuff in your videos, or not at all? I mean, we
After,
know that like
after
hallucinations happen and inaccuracies and whatnot can happen. So
after that Hololive video, I'd like completely switched off from using AI to do like any research. I just completely do it myself now. So like even if it's like that Cinder doc, which is 1,000 pages, now I just like completely did that myself. I did not trust AI anymore to cover like those types of topics. So I completely just do it myself, even if it takes like 8 hours to do.
what do you do for university again? Like you go to uni, you have your studies and everything, right?
Yeah, I do. I have two. I'm doing 2 degrees. I'm doing information technology and cybersecurity.
So how does this YouTube hobby of yours also? I frame it like that because I know it's not like your job at the moment,
Yeah.
but does it interfere with your studies, or perhaps even help?
I would say like it doesn't really interfere because I try not to upload. Like, I keep an upload schedule that doesn't necessarily cause issues with uni. That's why I only do once a week. Like if I didn't have to deal with like college or uni or all that stuff, it would probably have been like every other day at that point because I would actually have a lot more time. But the main focus is that I pace myself in a way where it's like it's a hobby. It's not necessarily a career. I don't expect this channel to be a career. Obviously, it would be amazing if it got to a point where I could just like make a living out of it, but I don't expect it to happen. So that's why it's like a hobby, it's a side gig. I don't invest a lot of time into it.
And also, like with your degrees and everything, it makes sense that you wouldn't want it to become like the main thing in your life, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does doing your own research and reading 1,000 documents kind of like, it doesn't interfere, but like, does it help you in one way or another?
I think it does because it's like not just for like my degree, but just in general. Like being able to quickly read through something and be able to like extract very important skills from what you're reading. It's a really important skill in life, especially because I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing research in cybercriminology, and a lot of it is reading. So being able to decode what you're reading and put it into a more digestible format for like a non-technical audience is like a skill not just for research, but it's also good for just technical careers like cybercrime and all that, cyber security and all that stuff, because you're trying to explain a very technical thing to someone who doesn't know anything about it is pretty difficult. So I want to be able to create a more digestible version of what information that you're able to
Yeah,
extract.
and like also you recently got sued for copyright stuff, and I'd imagine that also helped in you got to peek behind the curtain a little bit more, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's like this is like clear cybercriminology. It's like the act of a false copyright strike is wire fraud. That's like the actual thing, like the actual term for it. That is a crime. know? And the cybercriminology behind it is, why did the person commit this crime? So kind of seeing like this whole process and just seeing how like this person, like, I guess, behaves when it comes to this type of stuff, it does help in the long run understanding cybercriminology in general, and it does help for future career potential as well.
Yeah, and since we were talking about like how this is affecting your personal life in a way, do you believe that your like YouTube channel popping off like this somehow influenced how people see you, like when you just hang out with folks or when you watch like a VTuber that you like and stuff?
I think, yeah, honestly, like, it does change how people perceive me by a little bit. It's not like I'm not like Mugen level, obviously. That's like I'm not gonna be like, as soon as I go in, everyone's like gonna be like losing their shit. I wouldn't want it to be like that. I think that's a bit too much for me. I think, but at the same time, it's like the fact that I'm being, I guess, recognized as like a valid source of information. It's like it's like, I don't know. It's a point where it's like I'm happy, but I'm also like, I feel like I don't necessarily deserve it. Just because it's like tiny. Like my content is like so like basic, you know? It's like the amount of reception I'm getting, I feel like doesn't necessarily, it's like way beyond what I expected for my type of content. And it's like, you know, it's like, I'm not like trying to like say it's bad or anything. I'm just like in a state where I'm just like, holy shit, I guess, to put it lightly.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense in a way. Like, there's always like, oh, when something does really good, like I write in my free time and I do a little bit of journalism and games journalism, I guess. But when something pops off, it just feels like I didn't do that well. Like, I don't know why people are reading this, you know?
Right, yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that kind of level of imposter syndrome?
I don't know, man. I'm like still kind of in that process where I'm like still kind of struggle to deal with it. Because it's like, when it comes to my videos, it's like, dude, I cannot watch the videos that I make after like they're published. I refuse to watch them because it's like I cannot listen to myself at all. So it's like when I see people are like reacting to my stuff, I'm like, I don't know what to say at that point, because it's like I'm flattered, like that's a huge thing. I'm like flattered and honored. But it's like I would struggle, like, for the first time, like, if I try to watch through for the first time, like, I will cringe at myself 90% of the time, because it's like, it feels so weird hearing yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's always weird hearing yourself, and it's sometimes I say things that I just, you know, that are funny, but also, when I hear myself saying those things, I cringe, like, really hard. And I feel like, in a way, it is important to kill the part that cringes and not the part that's cringe. Or something
Absolutely.
like that. No, it's
but that takes time, man. Like, I need to get used to the fact that, like, there are, like, people watching, I guess, that there are people watching my stuff. I'm still not used to it, but I gotta learn to get used to it.
Do you fear that some people that, like, you mentioned that you like smaller VTubers, indie folks and whatnot, and that there's untapped potential. Do you fear that eventually there might come a time that you'll have to cover someone that you'll actually like watch? Like there's a document about someone that you like.
Dude, that's gonna be really bad, because it's like I said, like my whole deal of like part of this channel is to be as neutral as possible. But if there's like a conflict of interest, if it's like somebody that I really like, or if it's someone I really hate, that's also like a thing. Because it's like, in IPL, there are like people that are like, you know, they're like really questionable people. But it's like, I don't want to cover them because it's conflict of interest. And then that could cause issues as well. So I don't want to have like a conflict of interest where it's like, I skew towards like favor or unfavor or disfavor towards like a particular party. Because then that kind of defeats the point of the channel. So if it comes to a point where it's like someone I really like or someone I really don't like, it's like into shit, I'm probably not going to cover them. because it's like I said, it's an iffy conflict of interest situation.
Do you get like bad reactions to some of your videos as well? Like when you talk about like, I don't know, someone cool like Bao, for instance, saying something bad, which happens, we all do.
Right.
Do you get like slack from them or their fan base?
Not as much as I anticipated, to be honest, because it's like there were a few videos where it's like I cover somebody and I would expect like a decent amount of like backlash from like a particular party's community. But honestly, there hasn't been, I'm knocking on wood that it remains this way, but there hasn't been that much like fight against me. Like I'm not involved in any like controversy or anything like that. Again, knock on wood that it remains this way, but it's like I'm glad. But I mean, in the future, it probably will. Might be an instance where I cover somebody and I get shit for it. But that's just how it is in this niche. It's like you can't do anything about it. So.
Yeah, I feel like it is sort of bound to happen. Do you feel like your own, like, you don't consider yourself to be like a big name kind of in the community, but at the same time, there is certainly like a response to you being there in the community. Do you fear that there might come a time when things will become difficult for you because you covered some folks in the past?
I expect that to happen, absolutely. Like, I feel like the most like shit that I will get is one, the AI voiceovers, which I will probably, well, I'll either unlist them or remake them. That's like a big thing I want to do. And then another thing is like there's gonna be like a few. I know like I covered like looking in the pack here, like Luka Kaneshiro. I covered him, and that one was a bit shaky. That one I might get like shit for in the future, but as it stands right now, I can't really make that determination myself, but it's like in my opinion, I think I did a fair enough job covering like appropriate parties, but there will probably be I will get shit eventually. That's kind of how it is with content creation in general. Nobody's gonna be like 100% happy. So you kind of have to just appease the 80% more than the 20%.
You mentioned that one video, for instance, was a bit shaky or a bit rough, that you might get shit for it and stuff like that. Would you consider that to be like your worst video or something? Or do you have one that you think is worse?
I think my worst videos, like if we're talking all of them, it's just gonna be the Hololive termination one, because that was like everything that I've made. That one's probably like the really bad one. I mean, technically, I didn't even really like quote unquote make it at that point. But I think out of everything that I've made, that's hard actually. There is one video where I was talking about, I think there was like a Lucky EN agency, and how there was like a decent like defector like group that kind of called them out, and that one was I'd say that one was a bit shaky because there were some pretty notable people on both sides, and it was kind of like there was, I guess, some like beef happening in my comments from like the defectors and the non-defectors, and so that kind of like that negativity also kind of was directed towards me, because I guess they felt like I didn't provide the best, I guess, explanation for the non-defectors. Which, I mean, I guess if it's the case, I that's fair, I guess. But it's like I don't know. Like that one was shaky. That one I look back on it from time to time, and it's a bit shaky. So I just, that kind of contributes to how I determine what type of stuff I cover when it comes to drama. But it's also at the same time, it's like that's just how drama is in general. There's going to be people that you cover, they're not going to be happy with your video. So that you kind of just have to suck it up at that point.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's gonna happen. Like, you mentioned earlier that you would just remake them. Are there like any of your older like non-drama videos that you would remake like today or like in the future?
Probably like quotes, video, like probably like all my AI voice videos are gonna be most likely remade with like updated stuff and everything, because that was like the most basic stuff. Like you could probably like I mean, I'd like to think that there is progression in terms of how I make videos as I continue making them. Like the first one being like bottom of the barrel quality, and then it's like slowly progressing. I'd like to think that, but I don't know. Some people may just view it all as like junk, which is I mean, I'm not gonna like argue against it. It's like to each their own at that point.
Can you see yourself like just explaining VTuber shit for like ages, or would you think that eventually there will be like a last video and then you'll just do something else?
That's a good question. Because
Or
it's like,
perhaps how do you keep yourself motivated if that's too like hard?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, part of it is the once a week upload schedule. I think part of that kind of reduces my chances of getting burnt out from content creation, because I was deliberating like whether to do twice a week, 3 times a week, or like once a week, and then I was like thinking about it. It's like I want to do something that's like at the very minimum I can upload, like have a consistent upload schedule, but also be enough to where I'm not going to get burnt out from making videos. I mean, I've been burnt out a little bit with some of them, even though I only have like less than 30 videos. You know, sometimes I burn out depending on what happens that week, but you kind of just have to push through. You know, if not to like just appease the algorithm. Like you like get inconsistent enough, there's going to be a point where YouTube just like completely kills you off. You kind of just have to get up and force yourself to do it. In the future, I'd like to think I would continue going for a good amount of time. I mean, this niche is only continuing to grow, so there's more and more, I guess, fun moments, both in the good and bad ways. So being able to, I guess, cover that, it's fun to do in general. So I'd like to keep going as a hobby. Worst case, I would hand it off to somebody else, maybe like one of my friends or somebody else, and just kind of have them take the mantle. If anything, I would just do the voiceovers for the channel, but ultimately just hand it off to somebody else. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon, but you know, that might be something in the future. But more likely than not, it's something I'm just gonna continue doing.
Is there something like your favorite video? Like you've got 26 videos in total, and out of those first 26 videos, what is the one that you liked working on the most? Or
I think the 1,000-page Cinder doc was probably the most interesting to cover, because I mean, it was a massive pain in the ass to do, but I think that was kind of like a test to see. It's like, hey, there's like a huge ass like drama that's being made, and you have like 2 days to do it. Like, can you do this within that time frame? And then so I tried it. I think it turned out pretty good. And I think reception wise, people would agree.
yeah,
And so I think that's like my magnum opus so far. I hope no more 1,000-page docs happen again, but this at least shows that it's possible for me to do it within a short time frame.
do you think you could have made it even shorter?
Maybe, like, but at the same time, like, I think there's so much to like cover to where if I were to make it shorter to like 15 minutes or something like that, I would 100% miss stuff. I think even in fact with the 23 minutes, I missed like a few things. Some people were fortunate enough to point it out, but like if I tried to make it even shorter, it would have been like worse quality in the end. So I think at that point it was just trying to get as much detail as I can. That's like covers like the general document while also like trying not to waste time.
You basically kind of got inspired to do this by noticing how you can't really like pay attention too well to these very stretched out videos where people are rambling on the same point forever. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about your longest ever video being 23 minutes long so far?
It's kind of crazy to me that it's like all that for 23 minutes. It's like I wish it was a little shorter, but like, I mean, it's 1,000 pages. It's like, if it was like 100 pages, yeah, it probably would have been like way less like time. It would probably been like 5-6 minutes. But it's just the fact that it was so long. There's so much stuff. It's a high profile situation that it's like, yeah, it's long. Hopefully it doesn't get any longer than that. I think it's just important to have, I guess.
Do you believe that there's something like a right length of sorts that people will like if a video is too short, people might think, oh yeah, this one's like a nothing burger, or like this like nothing to, they're just covering a sentence, how is it so short, you know? But if it's too long, like people can't be asked to watch it. Do you think there's like somewhat of a right length of sorts that you kind of want to hit at most, you know?
I mean, it's a bit tricky because it's like there's like, depending on the actual situation, it's either so like minimal that it's like you could cover it in 30 seconds, and some that are like so long that it would take like an hour, or like 3 videos that are like an hour each. Ideally, if I'm gonna make like a particular video, like I would not want it to be less than like 2 minutes, if anything. But at the same time, it's like it just depends when the video is being made as well, because it's like revenue like changes depending on the duration. I think one of the main things that people like appreciated in my comments was like I'm not forcibly dragging it beyond 8 minutes to get mid rolls, which I'm glad people appreciate that. I mean, it's like it's not a career. I'm not like forcing myself to like drag it as much as I can to get like ideal money. Like my most recent video, I make less than $1 per 1,000 views, and I'm just like, you know what? That's totally fair. You know what? It's like it's a short video. I think retention on it was really good. People did watch most of the video, so you know what? Like I think that's more important than the money for me. So I think as long as it's like not overly long. The problem if you try to give an opinion and you try to focus on your opinion too much, you add like extra time, and that can harm retention for people, because some people are like, okay, cool opinion, we didn't ask though, can we just get to the point? But also it's like if it's too short, then it's like, I mean, in this type of like brain rot duration TikTok people, shorter is better, but I don't want to make it too short to where it's like, why would I even upload? Why would I take a week to upload a 30-second video, basically?
Yeah, you did like recently cover the Mr. Beast civilization drama, and it took me ages to realize that, oh, there's a VTuber there somewhere.
Yeah.
Calling them out. Do you think you'll also in the past you covered like Pokimane and PewDiePie like having VTuber arcs and stuff, and kind of poisoning the well for VTubers like that. Do you believe that there is a world where you would cover other like flesh tubers who also sometimes VTube?
I probably, but I think if it was like a very specific issue or something like that, and it happened during like their like VTuber arc, basically, then yeah, I mean, technically they were VTubers at that time. It technically constitutes as VTuber drama. If I were to cover like flesh tubers in general, that's gonna be a different channel in general. Like,
yeah,
my channel is just for VTubing for the most part. So like,
how do you feel about the term flesh tuber?
I mean, I don't have any comment on it. Like technically, yeah, I'm a flesh tuber. Like, I mean, it depends on how people are phrasing it.
You're a VTuber now.
I guess, yeah. Officially, there you go. Here's my debut.
How do you feel about VTubing? Well, PNG tubing, but still VTubing.
It's just as respectable as VTubing. Don't
Like,
see
how
any-
do you feel about doing it yourself now?
I mean, yeah. There you go. I very much could. It could be fun to do. But I do want to do something in the future where either I have like a PNG tuber or like a full model. I'd probably start with PNG tubing. That's like, here you go. Here I am. But like in the future, maybe like I will start migrating towards like an actual model, have like actual production stuff, I guess. But that's like way into the future. I am not big enough to like consider that.
I know that there's some like people who cover VTubing news and whatnot, and also VTube like themselves, or have like at least a PNG tuber character of sorts up on the screen, or just some character without any movement. Do you think it adds to the content if it's like about VTubing and also featuring VTubing, or do you think it doesn't like matter?
I mean, I think having like a somebody to attach well to like somebody covering the actual stuff, I think it helps. I think it generally is a good thing to do. It's like something I might consider myself. Like people like Alara and like Rima, like they have their model and they're like covering the actual like news and all that stuff. I think it's a good thing. I think it's pretty like nifty to do. They might be my inspiration to actually do it myself. But I'm a broke college kid. I don't have money. I need money. So that's basically outside my budget right now. So, but if I do have money, yeah, absolutely. I will definitely start focusing more towards like actually having like a visual, I guess, appearance to my stuff. I know there were a few comments saying like, "Oh, when's your debut? Like, I wanna have someone to be like, I want somebody to simp for." I'm like, oh. I'm flattered. Y'all don't gotta simp or anything like that, but it's like in the future,
I mean,
maybe this year.
We've got V-Man right here, right?
There you go. Exactly. There you go. There. Who's that? Beautiful. And art of that.
Do you also believe that like the VTubing community is like in a state kind of that is concerning? Like you mentioned earlier how there's lots of drama and lots of docs all the time, and how do you feel about the current state of VTubing?
I mean, that's a hard one. There's a lot of good people in this community. There's wonderful people in this community. There's a lot of like incredible people, but there's a lot of bad eggs as well.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that there are those bad eggs that kind of like taint the image of the whole niche. Like, especially like there's like that Iron Mouse incident where I get her focus is trying to be, you know, try to integrate mainstream media with VTubing in general and like kind of blend them, like start blending them together in a sense. But that got really bad reception from mainstream like community. Like you see like those IRL streamers and all that stuff. Like you see those kick streamers. They like are basically kind of just like dogging on the niche, and it kind of just like it paints a bad picture necessarily for the VTubing community. It kind of paints it as like oh, this is like high school 2.0. Look at all this drama that we're doing and all that stuff. I want to contest it, but at the same time, it's like there's like those bad eggs, and there's like drama that happens like every other week. I can't necessarily argue with part of their like statement. Obviously, like I said, not everyone is like this. There's a lot of good people. There's like a loud group that just like starts shit. They're making everybody look bad as a result.
Yeah, I feel like especially like when you consider how many more normal like flesh tubers, I guess, there are who also have drama so often. There's so much. Like when I think of like streamer drama, I immediately think of forgot her name, but the person who fed vodka to her cat and threw the cat and whatnot.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I know.
I don't know who it was anymore, but like it doesn't matter. Either way, stuff like that, or people shouting at each other in public and causing public disturbances in Japan, for instance, or like really really bad stuff as that I won't mention. And with VTubing, it's like it's become sort of with like sort of mainstream. With I forgot which VTuber it was. Like I think it's Hololive or something. And that one person who sang at a Dodgers game.
Yeah.
I forgot the name. Oh no, I don't watch big VTubers.
Yeah.
But like, it's become kind of more like it's spilling over a little bit. But like for what it's worth, I think most normies will just see it as like, okay, the only VTubers I know are the ones who are causing drama, and everything else is like, I don't watch that stuff, you know? That's probably part of the reason why it seems as bad as it is, but like, FlashTubers are as bad, if not worse, most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that your content is making a difference?
I mean, some people say, yeah. I personally, I think I'm too small to make like a proper difference, but like if I'm getting like 200,000 views on like the Cinder video, like yeah, it makes like some sort of like noticeable difference, I guess. People are more aware and understand. That's my goal. So, to kind of put away the opinions and just here's like the digestible stuff. I'd like to think it helps. Like I said, I guess the Cinder video, people did find it helpful, but it just, I don't know. I personally just don't see myself to a point where like I'm making like a noticeable, like big difference when it comes to like news/drama tubing.
Yeah, like with drama and news, perhaps not, but I do believe that by highlighting like the general response, for instance, I like stuff like that in your videos a lot, where you're also highlighting how, generally speaking, like the audience of the people who have read docs and whatnot, you know, have responded to it like favorably or positively, etc., etc. It like kind of paints like, okay, this is how people feel about it, you know. It shares like kind of like a public sentiment, which is sort of difficult to see in other people's coverage, because other people will just share their own opinion most of the time, if at all. I feel like that kind of shows, okay, this is like how a lot of people feel, so if you feel this way, you know, others are like that as well. Or it's kind of split, and it's like, okay, it's okay that you're conflicted about this.
Yeah, that's the hope, so I appreciate it.
Do you plan on doing anything like showcasing people that you like watching, or covering W's in the community or something like that? I don't know. To kind of offset your drama arc.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's, like you said, there's like a good amount of W's in the community. There's a lot of good people. I think they deserve attention as well. So, sooner or later, yeah, I'm gonna make like kind of like side playlist of like those like good people in the community, like the W's, like you said. Hopefully, like if like drama in general starts like winding down, like maybe it's not gonna be as frequent as last year, and you know I can just start pointing out like, oh, look at how good this person is. Look at how wonderful they are as a person. Like shift towards that, because as much as drama pays, it's not something I want to 100% rely on.
How do you feel about those little tricks that people do in their videos where they, like, I'm not talking about like clickbait and thumbnails that are like big red arrows and stuff, but like where people put in a like very short it's a very small number of frames where there's text, and if people want to read it themselves, they have to go back and watch it again and stuff like that.
I think it's a bit, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that, because it's like kind of like retention hack. It's basically where it's like it will appear in your retention like chart as like a spike,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll show it's like, oh, like it's spiked from like 60% to like 70% of people watching at this time, and that 70 is like where they pause the video. That's I don't know. I'm not a fan of that as like someone who watched videos that have that. I would just rather have it appear for a few seconds, and then they can pause it. Like, cause like I know like for my videos, like I sometimes would show huge text for like a little bit, and then I just immediately go to the next thing. So I'm a little bit guilty in that regard. Like I can admit to that, but I at least try to provide like a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That way they don't have to like meticulously click back necessarily. But I mean that's something I'll probably improve in the future anyways.
Yeah, it's something I've noticed with some of your, like, you generally tend to summarize the text that is on screen really well, but you still show the text in question, which I find really cool. And it's also there for like a bunch of seconds, so I was like just curious to see if that is like intentional or it just feels right, but I didn't think about it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's something like maybe in the future I'll increase the time frame a little bit more, but as it stands, it's like at a comfortable amount where I just don't like drag, I guess, for too long, because TikTok, like attention span, they want quick changes. So
yeah, something that I find very interesting as well is that your thumbnails and whatnot are very, very simple. Like most of the time it's just white background, this person's profile picture, and some part that correlates to it, you know, like where's 3-4 and whatnot in the Gura quotes video, or Mr. Beast in the Mr. Beast video, I guess. But it's but it's most of the time it's just very, very simple. There's no bullshit, no red arrows or anything like that, and just a white background. How come?
Right. I mean, part of it is laziness. I don't want to take too long on a thumbnail, clearly. Part of it's inspiration from like my PC froze for a second. I love when that happens. So yeah, part of it's laziness. Part of it I just stole from other like explanation channels. They have like the white background. They do it a bit differently. They have like where they talk about like they show all the things that they're talking about, like all the like coverage and stuff like that. I was doing that initially, and then I think it got to the Adora Bunny allegation doc, where I noticed that it's like it wasn't doing great in terms of like views and all that stuff. I was like, huh, maybe I gotta try it. Let's try a different thumbnail. Well, I did like a test on it. I can send you a screenshot of it, and it was like I changed the thumbnail, and it's like, yeah, it's a very big difference in terms of like reception. So then it became like, okay, yeah, maybe I gotta like change it a little bit to where it's like it's not like a generic explanation thumbnail. There's like a little bit of difference to it. So I just stuck with this formula, and it's been working ever since. So
it seemed like much interesting. Yeah, like you still have the prior thing is still in your video. I like the little overview you have with the context, the you know, like the reaction of people and stuff like that. I do think that that kind of breakdown with that amount of like fence posting helps a lot with the video, and also helps like people following you like along as you explain things. It's very true to the title, you know, it's almost as if you're like explaining VTubing, you know? Whoa!
Yeah.
Do you
Shit,
have anything else that you want to like talk about, like share, etc.?
I mean, nothing incredibly special. I guess like my hope is that, you know, this stuff continues to do well. Hopefully there will be less drama this year, knock on wood, because oh my goodness, some of this drama is absolutely insane. I would rather switch to something else, non like drama related, but you know, drama is drama, you know, like people would love to see drama simplified, so I just stick with it for now. But hopefully I can do good stuff. Like hopefully I can do more like fun thingies. So, but you know, that's like part of the New Year's resolution, you know, need to grow this, you know, have like a stronger community, and just continue to move forward.
And like, do you also, and this is like super important, the most important and last question, I saved the best for last, you know? Do you have a pet? And if so, and I know that you do, what's the name?
I have a wonderful Maine-Coon named Sophie. She's an old kitty. She's 16. But we got her from like a breeder that does like show kitties. They breed show kitties. They're like really well recognized for their like Maine-Coons. So we went and like, 'cause I was like a little like child at the time, and so like my family went and they were discussing like potentially like reserving and getting a cat, and it was like she was expensive. She was an expensive kitty. It was $1,000 overall. Part of it was to reserve, and part of it was like go there and actually like buy her. So, but you know, she's living a good life. She's she has like a little dog bed that she takes up most of because she's a long kitty. So I would say like if there's like a kitchen tile and it's like a foot, she could cover like 4 or 5 kitchen tiles. So she's a long kitty.
With Sophie making an appearance in a lot of your community posts, do you think she'll also make it into the video sometimes?
I mean, yeah, that would be funny actually. Like a little like I could have like maybe like a little like Sophie cam. She likes to like lay on my bed from time to time because it's like pretty warm in my room compared to other places. It's like in my room, it's like mid-20s Celsius, and the rest of my house it's like barely 20. So my cat likes to just come chill here. So and then I have like a camera that, like points to the bed where she like chills. So maybe I'll just include that in a future video. That'd be funny. Maybe. If not, in a live stream for sure. So.
Where can people find your stuff?
So I mean, there's like my main channel, which is like, you know, at VTubingExplained. I have a Twitter, but I do not post there. I just purely use it to just bookmark stuff, but I just have it to have it. Same thing with Twitch. I have it to have it. I might actually properly stream in the future, but that's like, I mean, it's not gonna be like anything like news coverage, like streams or anything. Or at least maybe, I don't know. I still have to think about it. I keep saying that I'm gonna be making a Discord, like on my community posts, like I just don't like actually post it. I gotta lock in on that. I gotta finish it. It is almost done. I will say that. Like I just need to configure the bot, and then that's it. I just need that. Bear with me, please. I'm begging. Yeah. Almost done.
It's almost ready to go public. 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's like I make a post. It's like, hey guys, my Discord's almost ready. I'm gonna like review stuff. And it's like, no, it's not. I may have assumed too fast. Oopsie doopsie, you know. But it's almost done. I swear. By my birthday. I swear. I promise.
All right, thanks a lot for
it was fun. I appreciate
chatting.
This. Yeah.
And I'll see you around.
Yeah, take care. Yeah, it was great.
Thanks for watching. I found it very, very interesting hearing more about how VTubing Explained came together and how they approach covering the space. If you enjoyed this and want to see more conversations like this, feel free to leave suggestions for future guests. I'll see you in the next episode of the VTubing Radio.